Hi, you guys. Happy Wednesday. So today I'm in a massive funk, and I wanted to share. Just something was telling me to share some of my thought processes around when I am in a horrible mood, when either shit has happened that is really pissed me off, or when I'm feeling energy like really strongly, or just when you're having one of those days, what I do to approach this from a perspective of how can I grow from this? How can I sit in the feelings? Because basically, most of us, really what we've learned, what we've been taught, and also just what's more comfortable is absolutely to run away, either to totally dissociate when we feel a lot of emotions. Typically, we're going to do whatever we can to run away from the deep feelings, to run away from the big emotions because it doesn't feel safe. And so our system is like, nope, get away from this. I'm going to zone out. I'm going to pay attention to something else. I'm going to distract myself. Even when you like know what you're doing. Like I've been doing this work for so long that I can pinpoint the moment that's like, I want to escape from this. Our entire society is built up on escapism. Like, notice how often you're like, I need a drink, or you zone out and watch TV, or you go do certain things, or you have certain habits or self-sabotage tactics. Like, we all have this when we're trying to avoid something in particular. But with feelings, it's like the best. Clients ask me all the time, they're like, I'm going through a really challenging time, and I'm like, the work is to sit with it without running away. There are many tools that we can also use, which I'm going to share some of my favorites in a second. But ultimately, the best tool is literally just stillness. Often, even in spiritual communities, we like run away from the concept of stillness. Like, we distract ourselves with chanting or with, which I love, but also all these things can become distractions. It's like truly the biggest spiritual work we can do is to just sit still with ourselves and our thoughts and be present. And we have so many tools to support us in getting to that space. But what I just have been really noticing, even within myself, but also what I'm experiencing with people around me and just with everybody, with everything that's going on in the world and in our personal lives, the desire to run away from big emotions is so strong. I don't know, it's 11:11. I don't know what the stats are with like people's drinking and I would guess that all of those forms of escapism have increased, also like domestic abuse and things like that, and worse things. The work is sitting in the feeling. The work is sitting in the massive uncomfortability. So like, when was the last time you went and screamed your lungs out? When was the last time that you allowed yourself to express your emotions in that sort of a way? Like, yes, we can move things out at the gym or we can dance things out. Great options. But also just like, do you let yourself go to the really primal places of feeling? I know that I was not taught to do that. I was taught that emotions are inconvenient and that you feel your emotions in a polite way. And then, of course, we're not like throwing our emotions on other people. Like, if you're screaming, do that shit by yourself. What most people are doing with their emotions is they feel it and they're like, ew, this feels gross. I don't want to go here. Blah. And we distract ourselves. We numb ourselves with something. But what's wanting to happen, the emotion is like, I just want to be like, can you just experience me for like 2 minutes? Can you just like let yourself feel me and then you can let it go? People tell me all the time, like, oh, you'll get mad about this, but then you talk about it and you're not mad anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's how emotions are meant to be expressed. You're not supposed to hold on to emotions. You're not supposed to cling on to things. What we're supposed to do is acknowledge, okay, this is the emotion that's coming up right now. Okay, this is the emotion that's coming up right now. How can I work through that emotion, or how can I return to presence? So for me, usually that's by releasing the emotion, acknowledging it, not shaming it, but by sitting with it. That's the uncomfortable part. Then we look at, okay, what tools do I have to help me move through this? instead of turning on the TV, instead of going to make some food or fill ourselves with food to try to cover it up, or going to get drinks or going to smoke or doing whatever your thing is that you might do to try to avoid the feeling. Or even I've noticed even with myself, a pattern is definitely going into stories. That's a distraction as well. Your body just wants you to sit with the feeling so it doesn't get stuck in your shoulder, or it doesn't get stuck in your hip, and then it causes a disease in 10 years because you didn't deal with it, and it continues to build. It wants to be released. So expression is so important in this. That might be through movement, through dance or something, or I take I call them rage walks. I'll walk really angrily, and that really helps me release a lot of energy. But also the things that we might not want to do. Moving for most of us is pretty easy. Getting yourself to the gym or dancing it out or doing something like that isn't going to be that challenging. But doing something like primal screaming in your car at the top of your lungs, we don't get an opportunity to do that very often. Don't forget, we're animals. I'll say when society collapses, because it's going to, we're wild animals just like other animals are. We have primal instincts. They've just been very tamed. So if you haven't screamed in a long time, I invite you to do so. Scream into your pillow. Nobody really will hear you. It feels so good, and it releases so much pent-up energy. Now, anger and sadness are really related. So oftentimes, we'll experience a lot of anger, but underneath that is actually sadness. So you might find yourself screaming, or you're doing your rage walk, and all of a sudden you start crying. That's super normal and super common. And something also that's so helpful is just simply breath work. Breath work can't, there's so many fancy types of breath work, which are great in different ways. But for me, honestly, counting in I breathe really deeply. So I count into 8 to 10, or sometimes more than that, doing square breathing. So inhale for 8. You could try this with 4. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. So powerful. Or if you're feeling a lot of energy, inhale over and over and over until you move some of that energy. Over and over till you move that energy. We need to have these basic tools that aren't things we need externally. We need to have these tools internally that we know how to manage our emotions and express them. Because what's happened is that, people don't know how to express their emotions, so they shut down, or they run away, and we all do this in different ways. I'm not saying you're doing this. We all have our ways of doing it. We have to get comfortable with feeling the really just gross feelings, and also then not lingering in them, allowing them to be released and go, and noticing where we're going back to stories and recreating that emotion that's not necessary. And we're bringing the emotion back in. A lot of times, I might get in trouble for saying this, but a lot of times with trauma work, I see people continuously going back into their story, and it's you're never going to move on from this. You have to stop going back to revisit the story. Okay, so now I'll share a couple of external tools that I use that do help me. So first of all, you guys know I love crystals. Crystals help me so much. I understand what the meanings of crystals are. And there's actually light codes, and they say that Lemurians and ancient civilizations carved light transmissions essentially into crystals. So you can access a lot more inside a crystal than just what it looks like or just what the spiritual properties are. That's another video. So clear quartz helps to clear your energy. I saged the whole house this morning and saged myself. I also love cacao. So I have my cup of cacao right here. I love the Fly Cacao brand. That's my favorite. And I also use essential oils a lot. So like I was saying, I use essential oils a lot. Two that I've really been enjoying lately are this one called Marjoram. So I use doTERRA. You can use different brands. Just make sure that you trust it. The website needs to tell you how the essential oil is made, where the herbs come from. Do not get your essential oils from TJ Maxx. I wouldn't even get them at Target. Like, you guys know, so I had an interruption, but what I was saying is you can't really trust marketing, what things say on the labels, really in anything. In anything, you need to start to learn to understand ingredients, look at what things are actually made of, what goes into the things that you're consuming. And essential oils are no different, because so many brands will say 100% natural, and it just doesn't mean anything. That literally means nothing. So, yeah, I like doTERRA. I also will use now essential oils sometimes, or Oracosia, if it's like just something I'm diffusing. But things that I'm really using to work with my emotional health or to like raise my vibration, I want to be high vibration. So I really have been loving this oil. Like I said, it's called marjoram. I use this for heart healing. It's 1144. Yeah, I use this for heart healing and for my heart chakra in general. This is another oil I've been using a lot recently. This is called Petitgrain. It's to help with removing negative energy. So this could be from yourself. This could be from outside of you. There's so many different essential oils that you can utilize, but this helps bring a different vibration into your body versus you having to like create it yourself. So it's just a valuable tool to have. Like I said, I also love cacao for opening my heart chakra. I love working with Blue Lotus to open up the third eye. And then just plain old grounding, like getting your feet in the grass, working with Mother Nature, working with plants. All of that is so beneficial. And, point of the story, in order for us to ascend as a collective, we have to learn how to utilize our emotions to support our growth, not be afraid to be with our emotions, because that's what we've been doing for the last 2,000 years, and it's just not working out. We need to be able to experience and express our emotions, and the way that we can create that shift collectively, this is a part of the divine feminine awakening on the planet within everyone, men and women. Expressing our emotions is a massive key to spiritual liberation. If you're afraid of your emotions, that's telling you that that's where you need to go. Whatever we're afraid of is typically where we will get the most benefit from venturing into. So anyways, I just wanted to share this because I think it's helpful, to hear what works for other people. And the energy's been really heavy lately. And a lot of people in my tribe in particular are really going through massive shifts and another dark night of the soul. And yeah, so I hope this supports you. If it does, please share it. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and happy healing.